Experience yesterday, gentlemen, and his name is Aaron Rodgers, and we are here for just a release. Let it all out. Hi, Marcus Spears. Hi, Max Kellerman. I'm Molly Karen Rose. Woof. Unreal, right?
He put it on him.
I mean, unbelievable. Okay, so here's what we're talking about in case you didn't see it. Outside of a retirement presser, I cannot remember a time when a Hall of Fame caliber athlete has had a more real, candid, raw, and thoughtful press conference. Aaron Rodgers did that yesterday. It was 30 minutes discussing in detail all the factors that led to his strife with the Green Bay Packers, some of which didn't even involve him. Take a listen.
I wanted to help the organization maybe learn from them some of the mistakes in the past, in my opinion, about the way that some of the outgoing veterans were treated, and just the fact that we didn't retain a number of players that I felt like were core players to our foundation, our locker room, high character guys. I'm talking about Charles Woodson, Jordy Nelson, Julius Peppers, Clay Matthews, Randall Cobb, James Jones, John Kuhn, Brett Good, TJ Lang, Brian Balaga, Casey Hayward, Micah Hyde, guys who were, exceptional players for us, but great locker room guys, high character guys. Many of them who weren't offered a contract at all, or were extremely lowballed, or were, maybe in my opinion, not given the respect on the way out that guys of their status and stature and high character deserved. And I think we can all understand, Green Bay isn't a huge vacation destination. People are coming here to play with me, to play with our team, and knowing that they can win a championship here. The rules, are the same for most people, but every now and then there's some outliers, guys who've been in an organization for 17 years and won a few MVPs, where they can be in conversations at a different higher level. I'm not asking for anything that other great quarterbacks across the last few decades have not gotten, the opportunity to just be in conversation. So if you're gonna cut a guy who, based on a meritocracy, was our second best receiver in training camp last year for the majority of camp, maybe run it by me, see what I feel. I might be able to change your mind, but at least to be in a conversation makes you feel like you're important, you're respected, and that's what I tried to convey in February and for the first couple months. But no, it hasn't been that. That's just the way they do it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but objectively, there's been a lot of success here over the last 30 years. I just wanted to be a little bit more involved, and I understand that that's not the way it went.
You know what we're going to do, Max? We're going to take all that luggage that everyone's been carrying around, all the suitcases, and we are going to unpack it piece by piece. Let's go. First reactions from you.
First of all, that's the type of speech you give when you quit a job you think you're never going back to. Like, take this job and shove it. Like, that speech. Oh, my God, he put him on blast. Let me tell you something. What that was a takeover. Not just a takeover, but the takeover. See, everyone gets this most famous rap battle wrong. Jay-Z and Nas, Marcus. Everyone talks about you got ethered. And I get why, because it's Nas and he's great and all that. But Ether was just throwing everything against the wall and let's see what sticks, right? Jay-Z in the takeover was surgical precision. And whether or not it was the truth, it sounded like the truth. He didn't say all that much. He had about 4 or 5 points and each one sounded true, right? So you're like, oh, that was what Aaron Rodgers just did to the Packers. That was a takeover. He killed them with what certainly sounded like the truth. And especially when you hear Brian Gutekunst, who went first, right? He talks to the press first, and he thinks, this will be business as usual, right? So he's just like, come on, B, that's not
sad little press conference.
That's not even what it is. And then Rodgers came out and flamed them. Rodgers, I've been saying this all along. He's the boss in the sense that it's his mind you have to change. I said the Packers won this deal, Marcus, because in the end they bought themselves one more year to win a Super Bowl with an invested Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be invested in his teammates and winning a Super Bowl, and bought themselves 12 months to change his mind. But it has nothing to do with the decision they make. It is 100% the decision Aaron Rodgers makes, because that, my friends, was the takeover.
I like it. You bring it in that old rap history that you got, Max Kell. Listen, man, when I saw that interview, the first thing came to my mind, Max, to your point when he flamed him, is he still don't want to be there. This is one of the concessions that was made by the Green Bay Packers, to your point, to save face and potentially save a year. I think it's over. I thought it was over before. I was wrong. He returned, came back to camp. But when you look at that press conference, man, that's like walking in your house and telling your wife, "I'm here until the kids go to college," and then I'm riding out. Because when you look an organization squarely in the face with their emblem on the podium and tell them how bad they are at decision making, that is not the way you rectify a situation or work towards rectifying a situation. The second thing is this, though, Max, because I got to play devil's advocate. And look, as a player, man, I respect so much about what Aaron Rodgers said about how they let former players go out and it wasn't the right way and they should have consulted and all of those things. But Max, put Max on the camera.
I'm right here. I figured I know where you're going with this.
You know what, Max? He signed that damn contract when it came up, didn't it? He took the money when it came to him. He took the money. Now I got love for what he said, bro. That's respectable. That's commendable. Looking out for the guys that he felt were wrong, either on their way out or at the end of their careers. But when that big money came up for Aaron Rodgers, he didn't bring all that up when he was signing his deal. Now he's there in the midst.
I think he's talking about give him a chance to come back at a reduced rate. Let's figure this out. Like the way he's really talking about Gutekunst and Murphy's people skills. He's not just talking about the Packers brand or his teammates or the fans. He's talking about there are a couple of dudes, I don't like their bedside manner. I don't like the way they treat people, and I'm a person.
You're absolutely right. And you know that's what this has been about. It's been about the interaction between people outside of the business part. But all of this transpired before he signed this deal. All of these dudes that he talked about that were treated wrong on their way out, coincidentally, what he's fighting about right now is how he's being treated on the way out. He knew all of that transpired before he signed for all that money with the Green Bay Packers. This is how they do things. And let me ask you this, because look, Aaron Rodgers has been wronged. If his input and the things that he thought would make this team better wasn't taken into account based on what he's done with the Green Bay Packers, he's absolutely right. But there's always another side to these particular situations, because within that, he also said it's been a lot of success around here for 30 years. Yep. And they've done a tremendous job as far as being relevant, staying in the midst of it. And we all know the history of the Green Bay Packers and Lambeau and all of those things. Mm-hmm. I can see both coins. I can see both things.
But Marcus,
and a lot of people don't like that.
Look, Gutekunst, let's take him as a GM. I agree. If you took every quarterback off every team and evaluated the rest of the roster, Packers are up there. They might not be the best, but they're closer to the best than the worst. They're pretty good. They're one of the better teams in the league. So that's Gutekunst, the GM, doing an excellent job. But this is something that must be said. If you dot all the I's and cross all the T's and you're really good at on the margins and paying attention to detail and building a good team, but you alienate your quarterback, who happens to be one of the greatest quarterbacks who ever lived, then you can't call yourself a good GM. Like all the other good work you did, all that good work is let's be honest, the biggest part of your job is making sure you're good with that dude. That's number one, and he blew that. And now he's got 12 months to get the horse back in the barn. He's got 12 months to get the toothpaste back in the tube, right? That's not easy, but he's got to start trying. And yesterday's press conference from Gutekunst was a very bad start. I think if it would have occurred, talking to Tim Hasselback in my radio show, Max Kellerman show, 2 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio. But he was making the point, he wonders what Gutekunst would have sounded like had he gone after Rodgers. Well, the next 12 months all happens after Rodgers' press conference. Let's see if he can get this done. Marcus, it may feel humiliating for a GM to kind of bow before a player, right? To kneel and scrape. But only if the GM lacks humility. The NFL is a league with military roots, West Point and all that, right? They don't want insubordination. They want chain of command. They want people to stay in their lane. They want them to know humility. Now it's time for a GM